Well, the second Matrix movie opened Thursday to record numbers. The Matrix Reloaded, that's what it's called, picks up where the first film left off in two worlds, the conscious and the subconscious, and their battle between the perceptions of good and evil. The question is The Matrix more than just a movie? We're joined by Professor William Irwin, the editor of The Matrix and Philosophy, an interesting collection of thoughts on the movie and its place in the world. Good morning, Professor. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Anderson. Thanks for having me.
I got to say, when I first heard about this, the question was, what is a professor of philosophy doing writing a book about The Matrix, this movie?
Well, a lot of people ask that. I think philosophy's had a public relations problem for probably a few centuries now, and one way to get people interested in philosophy is to show tie-ins with popular culture, and I think The Matrix does that particularly well.
All right, so where is the philosophy in The Matrix? I mean, and what is the sort of the philosophical underpinnings of it, if you will?
Like The Matrix, it's all around us. It raises all of the big questions of philosophy. What can I know? The basic question of epistemology. What is real? Prominent question. The basic question of metaphysics. What should I do? The basic question of ethics. And it plays on some very important classic texts in philosophy. Plato's allegory of the cave, telling the story of prisoners who are chained by the neck and legs until one escapes and returns to free. Descartes' theory of an evil spirit or evil deceiver who fools us about all of our sensory perceptions. And in Reloaded, I think Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, or the Superman.
And you see that, you've seen the second one. Does the second one sort of have as much philosophy as the first one?
Yeah, I've seen the second one. In fact, I went with some students of mine from King's College the other night. Indeed, there's a lot of philosophy in there as well. I think the main philosophical question discussed in the second film is free will versus determinism. Are we fully determined agents? That is to say, is every event, act, and decision simply the inevitable consequence of what comes before? Or is free will something that humans have, that is real, that, of course, machines and agents wouldn't have?
Now, I mean, do you think the makers of this movie knew this going into it? Are they readers of philosophy, to your knowledge?
Oh, I feel quite confident that they are. As a matter of fact, the Wachowski brothers are quite elusive, but we do get details seeping out that they've had Keanu Reeves reading Schopenhauer and Nietzsche and David Hume, among other philosophers, for this second film, and there was a reading list for the first as well.
I mean, I guess this is not particularly unusual. Star Wars, George Lucas often talks about, sort of the philosophical underpinnings of that, the hero's journey, the mythological underpinnings of it. How do you use The Matrix as a teaching tool?
Well,
I mean, I imagine, do your students actually get credit for going to see this movie?
No credit for seeing the movie,
okay.
But I do use it as a companion to reading classic philosophical texts. So we'll read Plato's Republic, and we'll, before that, maybe talk about some of the elements of Plato's philosophy that the Matrix raises. And so it becomes something that's familiar to them when they're reading the Republic, rather than something that's odd or alien. And the same with other classic philosophers, such as Descartes, Aristotle, Nietzsche. We can sort of wade in, get our feet wet before we swim out deep to the philosophy itself.
Now, I know you've also done some work on the philosophy of The Simpsons and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I wish we had time to talk about that, but maybe another time. Professor Irwin, appreciate you joining us.
Thanks very much for having me, Anderson.
All right, thanks.